notes. So, raise your hand if you know who digital marketer Ryan Deiss are. Pretty much everybody in the room. If you don't, they put on the biggest event in the industry. They drive, geez Louise. There are dozens of different markets, and they are partners in tons of different companies, whether it's survival, whether it's business owners, whether it's fitness, water filters, stuff like that. And they $15 million in ad spend. You guys have probably spent in the last few years. Over $50 million in ad spend. And we've mentioned them a lot because we learn a lot from digital marketing. And that's why we just joined War Room.
We just did.
Yeah.
This week. So,
Awesome.
Just joined their high-end mastermind this week. So we're super excited to get even more on the inside. I mean, it makes a big difference when you can really connect with some people at a high level and learn, from them on what they're doing. So Molly has been gracious enough to come here because she's the one running the campaign. Remember earlier when I brought up my team, I talked about the guys behind the scenes, the real experts, right? Michael and Titus. Well, that's what we got here. So thanks a lot, Molly, for coming in. So I'm just going to let you go.
Absolutely. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good. I see a lot of familiar faces, so that's cool. I'm going to come out here, maybe.
Yeah, I was kind of.
Sorry, guys. I haven't done this presentation in person yet, so the slides might be a little iffy, but I think we'll get it. We'll get some good information to you all. Who in here is a lab member with Digital Marketer? Yeah, I see lots of familiar faces. So DM Lab's a monthly subscription that we have, and I'll give you guys a dollar trial link later if you're interested. But you can get in and learn a lot about what we're talking about here. So really what I'm going to cover is retargeting. First, I'm going to go through some basics in terms of targeting, ad copy, and creative. I know you guys covered a lot of that, but I just want to touch on our best practices so you guys can write down some questions, step-by-step ways to find your market on Facebook. So we like to start with Facebook for a few reasons. Facebook has a ton of users, obviously, so unless you're not allowed to market on Facebook, you're doing dating or something that they don't really allow, you should be able to find your market. I think there's 1.3 billion people on Facebook, so it's pretty easy to find your people within the platform. It's also pretty easy to use, so it's not. I think AdWords is kind of hard to use. Facebook's pretty easy to use, so that is why we always start with Facebook, especially when we're testing an offer or even testing a company. So we will start a company. We just started a makeup tutorial company, and really we tested the first offer on Facebook to make sure it had a pulse. So we're not going to put money into a company. We're not going to buy physical products. We're not going to hire a team for the company until we can test the product or test the offers on Facebook first. Where is this guy pointing to? Somewhere? Or I'm not doing it right. I can click it from my computer too. Cool. I think we might. Okay. Yeah, no problem. I can just click it from back here.
We'll figure it out.
Cool, guys. And just like I said, we're going to go over a little bit about targeting, how we do this at DM, just so you guys have context for the retargeting portion of the presentation. So when we look at Facebook targeting, we sort of look in three tiers. So tier one is going to be our people. And not all of you will necessarily have your people, right? Or when we go out into a new market, we don't have people yet. So people would be buyers, leads you've already acquired. If you're using website custom audiences and you have those pixels installed and you're building audiences of people who have visited your website or landed on the pages in your funnel, those are your people, right? That's really our most important tier of targeting. That's who we look to really make our money on Facebook, because it's not cold traffic, right? So this is sort of the level of importance and how we look at it. This is our go-to, right? So we'll first roll something out to our people.
Whoops.
No problem.
There we go. Should work now.
Cool. So our tier 2 would be interest targeting, and this is where you would start in a new market. So this is how you find people that don't already know about you. Interest targeting, and Keith and Ralph have definitely talked about that, and I'll show you some questions you can ask yourself to pick the best interests to target on Facebook. And then tier 3 is more of the behavior and more categories section. We don't really use that very often. You guys might have played around in there a little bit. The behaviors is like the income or their home value. It's basically when Facebook paired with some big data companies, and they have a bunch of information now on people in the United States. I've actually found that to not be like very successful for us at all. I think it weeds out people that they don't have data on, and it kind of gives you some skewed audience numbers. So not that you shouldn't use it, but that's definitely our sort of third tier. Yes?
I just didn't follow something on tier 1. Why do you say minus buyers?
Right, so if we're rolling out a campaign, say we're wanting to acquire members for our monthly subscription product, of course we would do our people minus those that have already bought our product. Because, of course we don't want to waste money. But again, guys, if you are worried about excluding certain audiences of buyers, you definitely should try to do that, but don't focus all of your energy there. A lot of times something will happen and we won't exclude a certain portion of buyers, and it's okay. It's better to run the campaign anyways, and that's really something to keep in mind overall. Don't get caught up on the little specifics in terms of Facebook ads. Just get your campaign out there, because if you're not getting the message in front of your audience, it's not going to be successful anyways. Cool, so how do I find my target market? And it's really all about research. So this is the most important part of setting up your campaign. If you don't get your targeting right and you're not finding the right people, your campaign's going to fail. It doesn't matter how great your copy is, it doesn't matter how cool your images are, it doesn't matter what your offer is on the landing page. If you're not putting it in front of the right people, it's going to fail. So that's why this is so important, and I definitely wanted to cover it. If you guys want to check out, we do have a targeting checklist that I'm going to cover on the next page. It's bit.ly/targeting-checklist. Definitely don't have to check it out now, but for future reference, if you want to go back and sort of fill in the blanks, that's a really good document to use. Everybody got that? Cool. So, how to define your interest targeting. So how to find that tier 2 audiences, we would say. And again, this is for cold traffic. So let's use an example of the golf market, right? So say you had a product for golfers and you really wanted to reach those that are avid about golf. So not just people who watch golf on TV, but those who actually play the sport, because you're selling a product for people who play the sport. A big misconception that people have, and it's not really a misconception, it's a mistake that they're making, is their targeting's too broad. So a lot of people would sit down and they would just run through the targeting because, of course, I know where golf people are hanging out on Facebook, right? PGA, or they might like Tiger Woods or ESPN, some really big, audiences to target. And that's really the biggest mistake that people are making, because they're not getting specific enough. So even though you like or engage with the Tiger Woods fan page on Facebook, that doesn't necessarily mean that you like golf, right? He's too big now. He's a celebrity. There's too many people who are irrelevant to golf who might be interacting with his name on Facebook. That's why that would be too broad. The same thing with the PGA. It's just too broad. So what are some questions you can ask yourself to find the people in the market that are really avid about what you're selling? And here are a few questions that we ask to determine this targeting. And keep in mind that if you're selling something on Facebook and you don't know the answers to these questions, there are a few ways you can go about it. So number one, you are that person, right? So you are the avid golfer, you are the expert. That's why you created the product. You know how to answer these questions. That's awesome. or you know someone who is this person, right? So for example, when we rolled out our campaign for 212 blog post ideas, that was a lead magnet. It led into DM Lab. The target audience there was people who blog, content marketers. So I called Russ, our editorial director, and I said, hey, Russ, just 10 minutes, I'm gonna ask you some questions. He answered these questions for me because he is that person. If you don't have either of those, do research. There are a few tools that I'll show you in the next slide. Audience Insights, good old Google, similarsites.com. There are many ways to find where these people are hanging out, but make sure that this is your biggest focus, because if this goes wrong, the rest of your campaign will flop. So the first thing, who are the authority figures, thought leaders, or brands in the niche? But again, don't go too big with this. Don't go PGA, don't go ESPN, Tiger Woods. Think of smaller golfers that you would have to be really avid about golf to know. So Ryan and I did this on a webinar, and I was asking him questions. He loves golf, so he was able to answer these questions for me. I don't remember the answers. It was a few golfers that he knew that I hadn't even heard of, which was perfect, right? Their audience size was around 50,000 to 100,000 people. The people that really liked and engaged with that page were people who really liked golf. So keep that in mind with the authority figures, thought leaders, or brands in your niche. Where are these people getting their information, right? Who are the authority figures? So, in our market, when I go to Target, I target Ryan's page, Frank Kern, people that are giving information to that market, because that's where those people are hanging out. What books, magazines, newspapers does your ideal customer read? This is really important too, because if you're actually reading about the topic and learning the topic, you're gonna be really into it, right? So we came up with a few for this. It was like a smaller, not even Golf Digest, that was too big of an interest. There were a few different golf magazines and books that we found on Amazon. A great way to find these. Go to Amazon, start typing in your subject, find a few books or publications, and then look underneath. Amazon has the bar that says other items similar to this item. That's a great way to do research and find more books or publications that the market might be interested in. What events do they attend? This is big. If you're in an event to learn about a certain topic, you're really into that topic, right? Those are some of your best people. What events do they attend? So back to the golf event, I think we had Ryder's Cup. Is that what it's called? Ryder's Cup? And a few other events that these people would attend. Again, if they're actually going to see this live, you guys are really into running traffic online, or you wouldn't be at the event. We just held an event this week for our product, The Machine. The people at that event are our best customers, right? They're the most into what we have to talk about. So, events are great to target. Events don't always have Facebook pages or sort of interests when you're targeting, but if you do enough research, you can definitely find events in your industry. What websites do they frequent? Again, you can use a tool like Similar Sites, and you can input a URL, and it will spit out other websites that are most like that website. Obviously, most websites are brands or have Facebook pages, so those are great places to find your audience too. Where do they live? This is really important. How we determine who we target, obviously we sell across the globe, but I go into Infusionsoft and I see what are the top 4 or 5 countries of where people live that are actually buying our stuff. Not even that we're getting clicks from, who's actually buying our stuff. That's how I determine who we target in terms of where do they live. This is gonna be different for every business. If you own a local business, this is gonna be the most important part of your targeting, right? Because you're gonna wanna reach people in your zip code or your city. So that's a great way to define your audience. Where do they live? What tools do they use? This is big. So when I called Russ and I said, hey, I need to know what you like. What do you use as a content marketer? And he spit off tools like Hootsuite and WordPress. And I'm sure Lindsay could give me a few. She's our managing editor. But that's how we figured out. That was an entire ad set for us. Tools, what tools do content marketers like? Because of course, if they're using those tools, they're actually doing this stuff, and they're probably going to be pretty interested in what you're talking about. And then really, what's specifically unique about this group? That's the most important part, guys. What sets these people apart, right? What would someone who's really avid about this market, where are they hanging out online? What's specifically unique? Because if you can really target them and not stay so broad, your campaign will definitely be more successful. Cool, and again, a few tools I mentioned, similar sites, graph search is great if you have that, the search bar at the top of your Facebook profile. You can type in pages liked by people who like, insert, whatever your, whatever your market is. So I do like pages liked by people who like Ryan Deiss, and it spits out a list of pages that are most like Ryan. Audience Insights is a really cool tool that they just added. All of you guys should definitely be using that. It's a godsend. You can take, all of your answers to the previous questions, put those into Audience Insights, and Facebook will tell you what other interests are most like the interest that you just gave based on their own data. So they're letting you leverage their data. That's really powerful. Cool, and this, I'm sure Ralph and Keith have covered this, but what'd you say?
That's next.
Okay. Well, when we go to pick which objectives to use in Facebook, think of it like a menu, right, guys? So many people get blown away by these options. Don't do that. They're allowing you to tell them what you want from your campaign. It's not a game. Think of it like a menu. What do you want? Tell them what you want, right? So if you want to generate leads or you want to generate webinar registration, it's a simple action. We always go with website conversions because we can put that pixel on the page right after they would input their email address. And we're telling Facebook we want people to reach this step, right? We don't just want a bunch of clicks to our website. We want people who are actually going to take action on the page. And something our Facebook rep always tells me, they're like, Molly, we know what everyone's doing when they leave the platform. Like, we know who goes to which pages, how long they stay there, who's most likely to convert. They're collecting all of this data, so you should absolutely be leveraging that data. Not only can you tell them what you want, but then you can create lookalike audiences based off of people that have converted, and it really gets cool from there. So look at this like a menu. I'm sure they're going to talk more, but don't freak out when you see this, because if you want more event registrations, pick that. If you want more likes, promote your page. Just tell them what you want, and they'll do their best to give you what you want. So a little bit about copy and how we write our ad copy at Digital Marketer. It's actually really, really, really simple. We pose a question. So here are two examples. I think he showed you guys this this landing page, right? Yes. The swipe file. So the one on the left, I've been referring to 212 blog post ideas. That's a lead magnet we have, and that's the campaign I called Russ about and said, hey, tell me who I should target. But notice how similar these are. We always ask a question, pose a question, hit a pain point with them, right? So I also asked Russ, I said, what is a big barrier for you as a content marketer? He's like, well, sometimes I don't know what to write about. So I can't figure out what to write about. And 212 blog post ideas obviously solves that problem. So we're posing a question. Hey, writer's block, question mark. Then we give them a solution, boost your content with these 212 blog post ideas, and then we erase any doubt. So we were getting a lot of comments, and I actually tweaked this based on those comments. But people were saying stuff like, this is cool, but I have a blog about dogs and I don't know if this will work for me. Or I write about dance and I don't know if this will work for me. So we added in that last little bit to overcome any objection. So applicable to any niche. Again, on the other side, as a social media manager or someone who runs paid traffic, what's your biggest fear? That no one's gonna click on your ad, right? So want more clicks from your social media posts. Download our 72 headline swipe file. So, ask a question, hit a pain point there, and then give an answer. The rest of our copy is pretty simple. 212 blog post ideas, download our headlines, and then there at the bottom in the newsfeed description, we pretty much elaborate on what we said in the first top headline there. And I can get you guys these slides too. I'll send them to Keith if you guys want them. Just a few more examples.
Can you go back for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick. Remember earlier when I was talking about one of our favorite landing pages was the 72 headline? Remember when I was telling you how the ad was pretty much exactly the same? Well, I can pull up the
Landing page.
picture
Yeah.
of the landing page. But it's
It's the exact
image.
same.
And so, a different image, or even a different image on the landing page, because it's the side, we'll go over that a little bit more when we create ads, might be better in a certain situation, but I guarantee the reason
Right.
that image worked on that landing page was because it's the exact same image. It's a great image. There's a lot of reasons why you just explained, but then the image on the landing page really could be anything, but it's so congruent, and it
Right.
still says what it is, but it's the congruency, really helps. It's not always going to win out if it's congruent, but just in some cases it's good.
Right.
And Facebook loves it. So.
Exactly. Yeah, people don't jump to the next page and think, oh my, I just left the ad platform, right? You're maintaining that ad scent. That's why that's really important. A few more examples of some of our top ads. The one on the left, it was fall and football season was just ramping up, so we played off of that, right? This was an email marketing game plan, so we themed this. This is really important, guys. Like this ad, I created this in like February or March. This is dated. The arrows and everything, it will work sometimes, but people are getting so sick of that, they know that they're gonna hop over and you're gonna ask them for an email address. So really invest the time, even if you outsource on Fiverr or Odesk, invest the time to get some images made like these. These took our designer like 10 minutes. I just write up a little bit about what I want and she spits them out. So definitely invest in cool images because people will trust those more. But same thing here. The really cool part about this campaign, these were email templates. And so I split the ad sets into every email service provider I could target. So GetResponse, Aweber, MailChimp, Infusionsoft, Constant Contact. I split them all into different ad sets. And then I just changed the copy for each of them, right? So use GetResponse, copy and paste this free email series into your account today. So number one, they think it's made for their email service provider. You've called out your audience like Keith and Ralph taught you, and you've told them that they can put this into their account today, right? They can start using these templates today. It's something tangible in their eyes, and all they had to do was give their email address. And same thing on the left, email marketing game plan. I kind of went over that. We started running that to men at first, and then I opened it up to women too, and it did just as well. Okay, so moving more into the retargeting stuff and website custom audiences, I like to start out with this. So which Facebook ad would get more clicks from a vegan, right? And this goes back to specificity like I was talking about. How can you talk to a specific audience? That's when you guys will win, when you talk to a specific audience, right? So this ad, get hundreds of vegan recipes. These aren't our ads, by the way. Get hundreds of vegan recipes you can prepare in less than 20 minutes. Get hundreds of vegetarian recipes. So which one would win to a vegan? Obviously the ad that speaks to a vegan. Again, these aren't our ads. I wouldn't recommend running something that looks like that. It's more specific. Why? Because we made the right offer to the right audience. Again, it's all about being specific. Do not go broad because you're scared that you're not going to appeal to enough people. Get as specific as you can with your offer. And that's really where Facebook website custom audiences come into play. So who knows what that is, or who needs a little bit of introduction to Facebook website custom audiences? It's no big deal. I can go over it a little bit. Cool. So I think website custom audiences came out about, 6 months ago probably. But what it allows you to do is you take a pixel from Facebook, and it's not really a pixel, it's a snippet of code, and you put it into the head of your website. This is not my forte, so you can Google it. There's a bunch of YouTube videos. But basically, it goes on every page of your website. And what it allows you to do is build audiences inside of Ads Manager of people who are hitting your website. And this isn't just people who are hitting your website from Facebook or paid traffic, right? This is gonna take advantage of people coming from social, SEO, paid traffic, email, wherever they're coming to your site, Facebook can still put them into an audience, right? As long as they're able to cookie them. So the snippet of code only goes onto your website once. The coolest part about website custom audiences, thank you so much, it's not just an audience of people who have hit your website entirely. Of course, we have one audience that's digitalmarketer.com, everybody who's hit our website. You know, I want that audience in case I need to leverage them for something like Traffic and Conversion Summit, you know, something overarching that they would be interested in. The coolest part about website custom audiences is that it allows you to segment people based on their interest. Going back to what I just said, right offer in front of the right audience. If you're able to figure out not only are people interested in digital marketing because that's too broad, even though we're digital marketer, I would never target digital marketing. It doesn't work. I've tried it a million times. We come up with little audiences within our umbrella topic so that we can make specific offers to pull them through our funnel. So like he was they were talking about lead magnets. Think about something small. What's something really small and tactical and cool in your umbrella of a subject that you can use to pull people into your offer? So this is really how we've started to do this, and it's changed. I mean, we've grown so much in the past year, and most of it has to do with our ability to segment our paid traffic because we've been able to make these specific offers. So for example, the recipe site is up here, right? So maybe you have an audience of everyone who hit that site. Great. But you have audiences of people who hit vegan recipes, people who hit gluten-free, vegetarians. Some people might be in all three audiences because they crawled around your site. That's cool, that's great. Maybe they're interested in all of it. But maybe some people just went to vegans. So this way, instead of just running ads for your recipe site to people who like healthy living or something in terms of a healthy diet, you can run ads to these people based off of what they're really interested in, which is cool.
Just to be clear, these are pages on your main core hub website, like your blog, okay? These aren't 9 different landing pages.
Right.
These are just basically maybe categorizing out your whole brand by, in this case, 3 separate categories. Right. And so now,
and I can, yeah, and I'll show you guys, this is how we started from the beginning. I sat down with Russ and we came up with these categories because we don't have categories on DM other than I want to increase traffic, boost engagement. I forgot the other one. That's really bad. We have 3: increase, run more traffic, boost conversion, increase engagement. Yes. Woo. So we have those sort of overarching, but we don't segment and do categories on our actual blog, but we did do it behind the scenes, right? So we split people into blogging, funnel, social media, email marketing, conversion, e-com, AdWords. We've actually added a bunch to this. We created this back in February or March. But we took the content that we currently had on our blog and we separated the pages depending on the topic. So this way we could start fresh. We could say, okay, Facebook, here are our different categories. Everyone who hit these pages, put them in social media. Everyone who hit these pages, put them in funnel, email, et cetera, et cetera. And then we establish these keywords. Because the coolest part about website custom audiences is when you create these audiences here. So this was for blogging. You put the URL past the root domain into Facebook there. So these are all of our old posts since we had put the pixel, or before we had put the pixel on the site. These are all of the old posts, and then I put blogging as a keyword. So now when Lindsay and Russ go to publish a blog post, they know that it has to have a keyword. So if every post from February or March out about blogging had blogging in the URL, so Facebook knows to continuously pull those people into that audience. So I never have to go back and update this again as long as they follow the naming convention. So it's really cool. It's not something you have to continuously update. It will update for you as long as you have that keyword. And I missed, yeah, just like I said, imagine the power of creating lists of people that have not only shown interest in you by visiting your site, but shown interest in a particular topic by visiting a particular page on your site. And even if you guys are thinking, I don't have a blog, this isn't like relevant to me, please pay attention because this is where traffic is going. People need content. You need to start pixeling people. You know, the whole idea of I'm just gonna run landing pages like crazy to cold traffic, yeah, we still do it, but that's not going to be really, you know, what is normal for much longer. I think even next year, you're going to have to run content, get the click onto content, people read your content, you know, you're an authority to them now. They see you, that you have value. You've taught them a little bit something, and then you can retarget them with a lead magnet. Does that make sense? As the market is growing and people are getting used to paid traffic, they're not as inclined to just opt in on your landing page anymore. There has to be what we call a sandwich page now. You have to use content to really establish authority with these people. So if you don't have a blog, this is still really important because it's setting yourself up to really scale traffic in the future. So anyways, that's how we set the website custom audiences up. They pretty much run on autopilot. So now people who are in our blogging audience, right? They read something about blogging and then guess what? They hop to Facebook and we showed them this lead magnet about blogging because we know they're specifically interested in that topic. So just to put this into context too, I thought I'd come up with this really great idea. I ran to Ryan, I was like, we're gonna do a digital marketing toolkit, right? It's all of our lead magnets in one, people are gonna love it. You know, we're gonna get a bunch of lab members. And he said, that's not gonna work. And I was like, yes, it's gonna work, it's awesome. He's like, it's not gonna work, but you can try. And so I built the pages, wrote the copy, ran the campaign. It sucks. It sucked. Do you know why it sucked? Because it was too general. It was a digital marketing toolkit. It wasn't for bloggers. It wasn't for social media people. It wasn't for people interested in email. I was trying to catch this big audience and it wasn't relevant enough. And we still run that ad because we generate cheap leads, but no, the take rate onto the Tripwire is like 3%, which is just god awful because there's no relevancy to the Tripwire, right? So here we would take them to an execution plan, which is, you know, how we pretty much do all of our information in lab. It's checklists of how to do certain things. So this blogging one goes to an execution plan about how to generate 1,000 leads from your blog. So it's directly related to this lead magnet. Someone who's interested in this is definitely gonna be interested in this. And then after they take the $7 EP, we're gonna say, hey, you got one of them, do you want 29 more? Do you want a community? Do you want weekly calls with us? Then join Lab. Does that make sense? How specific that is and why that worked? Cool.
Well,
and
let me just add something to that. That's an awesome idea. We have a client who their whole well, they basically treat back pain, but they treat a lot of different types of back pain. But they have a ton of content, and the doctor actually writes the content. Who would have thought? And it's epic. It's on there.
Therapy. He's not just a chiropractor. They do really unique therapy. It's really good.
But you know, for this type of thing, we say, well, why don't we split up your website custom audiences based upon your categories?
Right.
So the categories were right there in the sidebar. So all we did is we took each and every blog post, herniated disc, bulging disc, back pain, neck pain, just like that. You can do the same thing on your site, or if you're a consultant, do the same kind of thing, combine it with a content marketing strategy like what they're talking about. For them, they get appointments, so much so that the doctor loves it entirely. He does all the website custom audiences on his own. And does all the blog posting on its own, and using that exact strategy.
And this can work for anyone. Like we own a water filtration company, like a plant in Coleman, Texas. And instead of running ads about water filtration, they talk about specific kinds of filters that companies would use. So anyone, this is applicable to all of you guys. You can always break down your audience into more specifics, right? Even if we were talking to bloggers, we could talk to specific types of bloggers. There's always more specific audiences that you can really derive from what the audience that you think is perfect.
And real quick, I didn't set the premise too well for this part of her presentation. My 9-step process, steps 8 and 9, are this exact strategy, okay? And this is how Bree and I met. I did a 30-minute presentation for Mindvalley about taking Facebook, using Facebook to amplify content on your blog where people do not have to opt in, okay? This is an additional strategy. The core spend is gonna be driving traffic to your lead magnet, to your funnel, right? But then you're gonna be doing this stuff on the side, basically, almost. And what it does is it builds value. It's like the guy that you met at the party. You're giving him your value. And the thing is, for example, even Mindvalley, who has 250,000 customers on all of their different brands, 20 to 30% of their sales from Facebook come from this strategy, driving traffic to a piece of content where people do not have to opt in. Okay, you need to get this to work, not only because it does work. It's an additional thing you're going to add, and people that opt in that don't buy, you're going to retarget them, or maybe you're running an ad to the website, custom audience them to your blog. Maybe it's a testimonial, and then back to your sales page. This kind of stuff, it doesn't have to be perfectly scientific, right? Just like you said, you just got to get it. And
don't worry about the little like, oh, but I'm not excluding these people. Just run it. If you're worried about the ticky-tacky stuff with Facebook, you're never going to run a successful campaign because you're not going to do it, right?
It's tough because some people, like for example, when Ajit, CEO of Mindvalley, was talking about, it's hard for people to sometimes take this and implement, because if you're a direct response marketer, it's not as easy to measure the ROI, the direct ROI sometimes, because people don't realize the value that you're creating, and then you're getting them on the second or third touch.
And really, something to keep in mind, and if you were at the Machine event, Ryan talked about this. You've probably noticed the price, cost per click if you're running on Facebook. Everything's increasing, right? The marketplace is becoming more crowded. It's only going to become more crowded, right? Like next year, it's going to become more crowded. So how do you combat that? You start to build audiences based off of these pixels. Even if you're just running content, we run AdWords only to content. Like, we're spending a ton of money just to pixel people. And Ryan said at the Machine event, everyone talks about cost per click, cost per acquisition, CPM, whatever you're sort of paying, whatever your measurement of payment is in terms of traffic. And he was like, next year we're going to talk about cost per pixel. What does it cost to pixel someone? Because building these assets are just like building an email list, right? So an email list, you can email them at any time. You can just press send, you get the message out, those people are interested in what you're talking about. Same principle. You're building these pixeled audiences. We can run an ad to them at any time now. So really, I'm living in this world of our website custom audiences because I'm pulling people in with content and then running all of our campaigns to those people because I know that they're interested, and then this cuts out who are we going to target today, right? All the targeting is done through content. So anyways, here's another way you could use website custom audiences too. We call this boomerang traffic. And I don't know if you guys have talked about funnels. I'm sure all of your all's funnels look differently. This could be for any segment of web pages, however you're running traffic. If you just have a landing page and a thank you page, this works. But really what website custom audiences has allowed us to start doing is, of course, the piece of code is on all of these pages, and I set up 4 different audiences to retarget. So I'll say I want people who landed on the lead magnet landing page, but didn't hit the Tripwire sales page, because if they didn't hit the Tripwire sales page, that means that they didn't opt in. So we never assume that someone said no. We never assume that they came to our landing page and they didn't want to opt in. We always assume that something happened, life got in the way, they weren't able to do it. Because if you assume that they said no, and your retargeting ad talks about, hey, you said no, why don't you say yes now? That's not gonna work, right? You have to assume that they didn't say no. And that applies for all of these retargeting ads. So then people who hit the Tripwire sales page but didn't hit the core offer sales page, that means they didn't purchase the Tripwire. We're gonna run a separate ad for that. Same thing, core offer, profit maximizer. These are people that didn't purchase the core offer. And then these are people that didn't purchase the profit maximizer. And with website custom audiences, like I was showing you guys, you can set up, I want people who hit this URL but didn't hit this URL. So Facebook is allowing you to, they're dynamically updating these audiences for you now. So you used to have to go in and say, you know, I'm gonna upload all the people that opted in. I'm gonna upload all their email addresses, and maybe half of them will actually match up to their Facebook email, and you know, maybe half of them won't. And I'm gonna have to do this tomorrow too, because I'm gonna have to update this every day. It was unmanageable for us. It was too much, because we were having to upload these email addresses and then the email addresses of people who bought the Tripwire and say, I want these people minus these people. It was too much. It wasn't accurate, number one, and we were having to do it every day across all of our funnels, and it was just too much. So website custom audiences was really a godsend, because we say this web page minus this web page. Facebook's constantly updating that for you. You don't have to touch it again. It all runs on autopilot.
Molly, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
If they, let's say they join the lead magnet and they don't get the Tripwire, so you plant that pixel, then if they go into your machine and a few weeks down the line, then they buy the Tripwire.
They're going back to that same page, so we know to remove them.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we follow up via email and they go back and buy the Tripwire, we're sending them to that same sales page so that Facebook knows, okay, they bought that, take them out of this audience, move them to this audience, right?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, again, website custom audience, it allows you to dynamically add and remove people based off of their actions through your funnel or whatever web pages you're sending traffic to. Yes?
Can you go back to that proposal? Can you help go through that again? Like, I guess I'm reading it backwards.
Absolutely.
So that first one says if they land on the lead magnet but didn't buy the Tripwire,
Right.
it's a retargeting.
Right. So yeah, so if they landed here, which is where they would opt in, and they didn't land here, which is the next page they would hit after they opted in, so we're gonna do lead magnet, and this next slide will help you. So this is the URL after the root domain of that lead magnet landing page. And this is the URL of the Tripwire sales page after the root domain. So I'm saying, I want people who hit this, and then I want to exclude people who hit this and take them back to the landing page. Does that make sense to everybody? We can look at it again. Yeah, so this URL minus this URL, and you'll have that dynamic audience there that's always changing based on the actions they take on your site. And you'll notice down here, guys, you can put the number of days. So the longest they'll let you keep an audience is 6 months, which is pretty damn long, because if they haven't bought in 6 months, they definitely don't want it. For these retargeting ads, we're usually gonna do 3, 7, or 10 days, because we found that after 10 days, again, if they haven't bought, they probably don't want it, and you don't want to keep just jamming it down their throat. So this is really important to keep in mind. Again, think about the possibilities here, even of people who have just hit your site. So like I said, we have digitalmarketer.com audience. That's just people who have hit anything on our website. And we have an audience of people who have hit our website in the past 3 days. So I'm constantly running our 3 best blog posts to those people, because I'm trying to indoctrinate them. If you're a part of the machine, indoctrination is the most important part of your relationship with a new subscriber, because you're telling them, here's who I am, here's what to expect from me, you know, nice to meet you, that kind of thing. So not only are we sending emails to these new leads saying, here are our best blog posts, here's, you know, how you can learn about digital marketer, and here's how you can become, you know, eventually, here's how you can hopefully become, you know, a paid member. But I'm also running that through Facebook ads. I'm running them to our best blog posts because we want to indoctrinate them and we want them to learn about us, because if they learn our business model, they're more likely to buy. Yes?
Do you use the other options? And if so, what I mean the other options, the ones besides the specific web pages, and in what context do you use them?
Like, which ones?
So, like, you know, it says website traffic, and that's a drop down,
Right.
and you pull up specific web pages.
Right.
So, the question is, do you use the other options at all, and under what context?
They're always changing. I can't really remember what they are, but yes, like I'll do just a specific page, right? So people who have hit the sales page for DM Lab, because if you've hit the sales page for Lab and we're making you a $38.60 offer and you say no, I'm gonna hit you with a retargeting ad. Okay, then how about a $1 trial?
Okay, so you don't bother with the other ones, you just use the specific ones. Because I just use specific ones.
Yeah, no, I'll do the specific ones in situations like that. Like everyone who's hit this sales page, that's an audience. I create as many of these audiences as I can because you never know when you're going to go back and use them, right? So even for each of these funnels, every page has its own audience. And then all the logic has its own audience too, right? So this is an audience, here, 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 and then this is an audience, this is an audience, this is an audience. So that we can always go back and talk to those people again.
And there was a question, I forget who it was, talking about what you're talking about. Do you place a different website custom audience pixel every time you create an audience?
No, you just have to put the pixel one time and you can create almost as many of these audiences as you want. I think you can create like 500 or something. Yeah, so really, and again, guys, even if you don't have a blog or you can't figure out a way to leverage this, you just have a few pages on your site or your funnel or whatever, that's okay. Go ahead and create these audiences because you never want to look back and say, oh my God, I wish I would have, you know, pixeled those people so that I can talk to them again. That's why we create as many as we can, even if I'm not going to use them right now, because we never know when we're going to go back and leverage them. So yeah, that's how we create dynamic audiences that Facebook will constantly change for us now. No more uploading email addresses. Yes, sir.
Question. You said that you're constantly creating them, but you also said that you're creating them for 3, 5, 7 days.
Right.
Was it keep them in there, or does it delete them after 7 days?
So
or can
for
you create it for 180 days and only target them?
So for example, you could create, you know, 5 different audiences with this same logic. I could have these people and then 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, 30 days, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So those would just be their own separate little audiences and you can just target based on relevancy. So if I'll notice, if I see that we're retargeting for 10 days and the ROI is still really high and people are buying at the same rate, then I'll switch over to the audience of people who have hit that for a month because I know that it's still relevant. And as long as the frequency is not too high, we're good to go.
So you got to create the different audiences. You can't
Right.
adjust it in the ad manager. So just do that ahead of time. Like you said, better, more.
Right.
They're safe and sorry.
Cool. And just to show you guys, okay, so, you know, we're running traffic to here. And I showed you, like, for the 212 blog posts, what that ad looked like for the lead magnet. So that's all the cold traffic, the interest targeting, all that's coming into here. But what do these ads look like? And I'm going to show you a really easy way to come up with those ads and so they don't take a lot of time. So you'll notice that this ad looks similar to that ad. So this is the ad that they came in on, right? So this is what we ran to cold traffic or website custom audiences. This is the ad for the lead magnet. So this is the ad for people who opted in but didn't buy the tripwire. So notice that they're similar but they're different. So the reason we do this is, number one, we tested the crap out of it. Number two, as marketers, we knew that we had to show them something that they were familiar with because they came in on that one, right? So they would say, oh, here's that dude again. But it's different than the last one, so it's not the same thing. I'm familiar with it. Does that make sense? So something that's similar but a little bit different so that they know we're not talking to them about the same thing. This is the ad copy that I use in every single retargeting ad. I never change it. It depends, not for the lead magnet, Tripwire, anything. I always run the same copy.
That means that's a writer goner.
Yeah. Did life get in the yeah? Did life get in the way? Question mark. You forgot to take advantage of this deal. Number one, this is really helpful because we're writing a ton of copy and we're spitting out 1 or 2 new funnels a week. I can't write all the retargeting ads for each step of the funnel. And we don't have to because we use the same copy for every single ad. And the reason we use that copy is back to what I said about them saying no. We don't want to assume that they said no. We want to assume that they hopped on that page and maybe they were on their phone and it wasn't easy for them to opt in. Or maybe they were in the car, or maybe their kids started screaming, or maybe they got to the Tripwire sales page and they wanted to buy but they didn't have their credit card. So we're assuming that they didn't say no. It's all psychology, right?
So you guys just finished a 2-day email marketing massive training. Is that a little familiar with anything that you guys just taught with the email marketing? The life get in the way.
Oh,
Got to take advantage of this.
exactly. This is how we follow up in email too.
So anybody here that has, especially if you build organic followings and you're doing email marketing, raise your hand if you're doing email marketing. Okay, then you should be doing Facebook ads, website custom
Yes.
audiences.
And all of this mimics our email too, because number one, email is crowded. Some people don't like email, right? Some people are on Facebook. This is just a different medium to remind them of the action that you wanted them to take. So whatever action you wanted them to take, doesn't matter. Go ahead and use that little piece of copy because I promise it works and you're not assuming that they said no. Notice again, similar but different. We just changed the copy. Okay, they got 212 blog post ideas. Okay, do you want 1,000 blog subscribers? This is really key here because it catches their eye, especially because this becomes the headline on the right-hand side. Enjoy the 212 blog post ideas. They're like, damn, how'd you know that how'd you know? That's really key. Again, just something simple. Take advantage of this special offer and get 1,000 subscribers onto your blog in no time. And you'll notice too, look at the social proof on here, and it wasn't running to too many people, right? People thought that was cool. Again, same stuff. They would have gone to the lead magnet with this ad that I showed you guys earlier. Similar but different. Want more social traffic. Did life get in the way? You forgot to take advantage of this deal. Enjoy the swipe file, question mark, and then a little bit of specifics in terms of what the report's about. So in case you guys forgot to write that down, did life get in the way? You forgot to take advantage of this deal. Feel free to use that. I promise it'll work in your retargeting ads.
In our ad agency, we refer to that as a molly. Just molly that ad.
That could go a few different ways. Again,
People call me Craig because my last name.
yeah. Again, you're assuming that they didn't say no, they just couldn't take the action at the time. So the Tripwire ad that I showed you for the blog post ideas, so of all of the Tripwire sales for the 1,000 subscribers EP for the month of October, that ad accounted for 42% of the sales. So think about if we wouldn't have been running retargeting on that, we would have had 42% less sales, and not just on the $7 report. The Tripwire isn't there to make us money, right? Think about how many lab subscribers, because that's the next offer after. Think about how many lab subscribers we would have missed out on just because we weren't doing the retargeting.
Any idea what the conversion rate is, like roughly?
For
Types of ads?
the retargeting?
Yeah, did life get in the way one?
Yeah, it's really hard to sort of talk about that because you're working in a vacuum, right? It's people who have already seen the ad, but so usually our Tripwires convert 15-20% to cold traffic. The retargeting is going to be at least 50%. 50%, 50 to 60%. But you're showing it to, you can't really judge because you're showing it to, in a vacuum. Yeah.
Would you use the same, by the way, I appreciate you giving us that copy, it was really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you use that same copy wherever they are in the funnel? So if they bought the tripwire, didn't get the core off, you would deliver the same.
I even use it with the
same
lead
copy.
magnet. Use the same copy in the lead magnet too. They didn't take the lead magnet. So we use that every step of the way. So lead magnet, tripwire, core offer, profit maximizer, whatever you're doing, we use that copy.
So even if they got it right up to a $5,000 coach and they didn't take it, did you like it the way you did it? Okay,
Absolutely. I can show you guys something funny too. Well, I don't know if I have it or not.
It makes that really easy.
Yeah.
We've even done some like, we've even done like indoctrination type of stuff, and Titus come up with some pretty cool stuff with people that land on a landing page but actually don't opt in. So he'll do something like, do you know Travis Jenkins or something like that? And then like a little bit about that person. Like, so basically they might have clicked on your ad but didn't opt in. A lot of times people focus a lot on the people that opted in because they're higher quality, but they didn't convert to a sale. But then, because we're doing some of these squeeze page type of super simple lead magnets, you might lose people. So you might do something that's just getting to know that person, or you use a video testimonial and you bring it back to the squeeze page.
Yeah, I can show you guys. Even, so this is for a webinar, right? We did a Black Friday boot camp and it was all about traffic and a traffic map and how you get from point A to Z. And I just it's that's great. That's cool. So this is people who were on the webinar but didn't buy the product at the end. So we're using the traffic map, and then there's like little baby Pirate Ryan. It's blue. It's blue. Yeah, and again, guys, as creative as you can get with these ads, like he hates this. Well, he doesn't hate it because it makes him money, but he's like, just don't show me. Like his dad commented on an ad the other day and was like, "I love you, son." And he's like, "Don't do that."
This super corny one, it might not work if it's ice cold traffic. It works because they already know who he is.
Right, exactly. So
creative stuff with cold traffic too.
So we even retarget with people who didn't buy on a webinar. Any chance we have to follow up with someone, no matter what you have to do, run these ads, even if it's 20 people, because number one, they're going to be like, "Oh, how did you know? This is cool," and there's no way you're not going to get a return on your retargeting ads. Cool. Yeah, that's.
He knows when you're doing those ads because there's massive giggling in one corner.
Yeah, we use HipChat. You can see, so this is a room where everyone on the team is, and we'll post the ads in there so everyone sees it simultaneously, and then we laugh and Ryan's like, "Oh God, what are you doing now?" Yeah, this one was pretty funny. Cool. Do you guys have any questions? I think that's pretty much.
So you talked about retargeting people that attended the webinar but didn't buy.
Right.
There's so many different webinar platforms, and I know it's really easy to know who signed up for the webinar, and it's really easy to know who bought. But how do you get to identify who is actually there on the webinar?
So we do this a few different ways, and we actually get really granular with our webinar retargeting because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. I don't pull those. We have a marketing coordinator that pulls our data and sort of lists of people. So I ask him I need a list of everybody who signed up on the webinar, right? So just everybody. Then I need a list of people who registered but didn't attend. So that's one ad. If you registered but didn't attend a webinar and you're going to do an encore or it's a perpetual webinar, if they have another chance to hop on, if you're going to have another session, run an ad to people who registered but didn't attend and just say, "Hey, we missed you." I can show you these ads that we have.
Helpful, guys?
Yeah, sorry guys. But yeah, people who I would have to really dig, and I can show you because it's cool. This is our designer. I'm always like, "Hey, okay, so here's a few examples here. Sorry we missed you," right? So we want you, the copy would say, "Sorry we missed you. want to sign up for the replay, sign up for my next session, et cetera, et cetera. Great way to retarget them and pull them back on the webinar. And then did you find the treasure? That's for people who were on at the close. Keep that in mind. We also pull people, so I was on and I saw the close. So we'll run an ad to those people. But then of course I'm running just the overarching, Ryan as a little pirate baby to everybody because we want to make sure people know that we made an offer on the webinar. Yeah, no problem. Cool, guys. If you have any more questions, let me know. I don't know how much time.
We're good. We got a couple minutes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How do you? I noticed that you did the targeting for people who visited specific pages and not other pages, right?
Right.
What's the advantage of doing it like that versus just having the pixels on each page, and then when you're doing an ad, saying that I don't want to show this out to anyone who's visited the succeeding pages, because you know how you've got like 5 steps. If you say that show it to a person who goes to step 1 but doesn't go to step 2, then technically if someone goes to step 5, is it going to be shown to them? You see what I'm saying?
Kind of.
So like, okay, so let's just say, so you got 5 steps there,
Right.
So let's just say someone goes to your lead magnet page and he goes to, then go to buys it, I think
$7, yeah.
Yeah, goes to that, right? And some of them is going to go right to the end and buy everything.
Right.
So if you target,
Then they're not in any of the audiences.
but the pixel you've shown says go to show it to people. The audience is show it to people who landed on the first page,
But not the second page.
because
So they would have hit all the pages and they
so
wouldn't
it
be in
wouldn't
any
necessarily-
of, yeah,
okay,
exactly.
okay.
And then I always have the thank you page, right? So the thank you page is its own audience, and I make sure I'm excluding those from the ad, because sometimes with the machine we'll follow up via email and be like, okay, you really don't want this $7, do you want DM Lab? So that would screw it up, but I always make sure if they hit the thank you page at all, they're not a part of the audience.
That's what I was trying to get to. 'Cause
Cool.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. And there's also a software called Flow by DriftRock. We use that like crazy. It connects with your CRM, so we use Infusionsoft. And say you have a tag because you're a lab member. Flow is constantly pulling through Infusionsoft and talking to our ads manager to make sure that's dynamically updated too, in case something happens. Maybe they bought lab from another funnel. We're not screwing up our targeting here with this funnel.
So what was that? I was
Flow by DriftRock. I have a code too if you guys are interested. It's you can.
It is
It's DM.
DM20.
Yeah, DM20 for Flow. You can get
20%.
20% off for 6 months. Yeah, and we're not an affiliate or anything. Cool. Yeah.
Would you, so you're creating custom audiences for your separate landing pages going through your funnels and for your blog posts. Would you create a custom audience just for like your main brand homepage, just so you've got
Yeah.
like I mean, for your digital marketing, you would just have a huge custom audience of people you know have visited.
Site-wide.
your
Yeah,
site.
absolutely.
Site-wide, yeah.
Oh, not Audience Insights. Yeah, I can show you. We have digitalmarketer.com. We have trafficandconversionsummit.com. Every one of our properties has their own just big custom audience, because I know, like DM.com. If I want to pull that audience and talk to them about something broad like TNC, I can just target everybody. Cool.
Okay, fantastic. And that's,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah, no.
one more. You talk about events, like a good audience is to find events
Right.
people are going to. Do you have a particular way you do that kind of research? Like how
Google.
do I specifically find events for?
So for like the blogging events, Russ gave me some examples, but I also just typed in content marketing events, blogging events. Just Google it.
Yeah.
It's a great way to find stuff.
Okay.
Yep. And then go into Audience Insights.
If you want, you can give them a URL. If anybody here isn't already a member, I'd recommend joining TM Labs.
Oh yeah, there's a $1 trial. If you go to digitalmarketer.com/LP/lab-trial, you can join your first month for just $1. So
$8.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have like 30 different execution plans. Like this entire retargeting strategy is in there step by step how to set it up. We do weekly calls with Russ and I, monthly presentations. The last one was on how to play nice with Facebook. So basically I just asked our rep, like, tell me everything about how people can not get their accounts banned, stuff like that. We have a Facebook group, which I think is the biggest asset there too. So Ryan's actually in there. Yeah.
So Molly, just to be clear,
Yeah.
you put one pixel on the whole site, or
Yep.
is it a pixel on each page you want to track?
So it depends on how your site structure and sort of what you've used to build your site. Like ours went in the header template, which applied to the entire website. So however you can do it, or if you are using, I mean, hell, if you just have lead pages.
I'll tell you what my question is.
Yeah.
Who's doing the logic? Is it Facebook? So you've got
Facebook's doing the logic.
So Facebook, you can say, right, everybody who visits the site,
Yes.
select these pages. So
Yep.
you don't have to pixel each page.
Exactly.
So isn't that brilliant?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wonderful.
Sorry, I missed that, because I thought you targeted pages based on specific content, like let's say body image, and we have a series of blogs on that, so would I
Right.
do an additional pixel on those pages?
No, the pixel goes in whatever, however your site's set up. If there's a template where you can plop a pixel, like for example, for Google Analytics.
No, but how does it know the body, but I understand that, but I don't understand how it then knows to target only body image if I'm targeting my entire site.
Like this. So like you're gonna tell them this URL minus this URL.
You guys see that? So basically, Facebook knows that your website's already in there.
Yeah.
So they got everything. So basically, all you do, it's hard to see here, but it says include people who visit any web page that meets the following rules. Basically, the rule is
Either keyword or
yeah,
your URL.
and you just type copy and paste it.
Got it.
And you don't have to put
Yeah.
if it's dominateWebmedia.com. All I have to do is I don't have to put that. I just put slash.
So that's why we're able to put blogging here, because it does keywords too. So when Lindsay and Russ post a new piece of content, they just know to put blogging in the URL, and Facebook will pick that up for you.
So that's notice that in this case, it's one audience blogging, and
Yeah.
there's several different
People
pages.
who
You
visit
continue to have
specific
that.
pages, and these are all the URL after so digitalmarketer.com, you don't have to put that in there. Just everything after digitalmarketer.com, and then any keywords you want them to pick up too.
And I don't want to go back and change URLs because they have a lot of traction.
Exactly.
So I'm just doing it going forward.
Absolutely.
Like whoever my web developer is, and
Yes.
I want you to put this in titles whenever we're doing it from now on.
Well, just say, yeah, exactly. And that's how we just sat down and this took us 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So we were able to say, when I went to create the blogging audience, you know, all those URLs are just, you know, these from up here.
And then the other thing too is you got to get that pixel. We're gonna get that stuff replaced today, okay, guys? So you got to get that pixel site wide, and then if let's say a month from now you realize that there's an article on your site that, gosh, I wish I would have had that one segmented out. Well, Facebook's been tracking the last 30 days site-wide, so you can go in there and you can put that slash
Right.
blogging tips in there, and it'll segment out the last 30 days of visitors that went to that page.
Yeah, it's retroactive now, which is
Retroactive.
cool.
As
Yeah.
long as you have your pixel site wide, it doesn't go back before that.
Yeah.
So you can put it on your site wide, and then you can segment it down, 3 months from now, and then like within a few hours, it'll have, say, 500 visitors. So-
Yeah, so like one of the things we did, we went back and put a lot of generic thank you pages in because we had so many thank you pages, but it
Right.
sounds like based on this, it actually would need those specific thank you pages, right? Because we're tracking based on when they hit a certain page, whether or not they
Right.
pull out of a sequence. So do you have like a ton of thank you pages then for each offering, or is it?
Yeah, we have tons of thank you pages. So I just make sure when we create a funnel,
Yeah.
I know like this is all set up before we ever launch anything, because if we don't set the logic up from the beginning, we're just gonna be screwed. So I just have a document with thank you pages. So I know that anyone who hits here, you know, that they've purchased, they've taken the action that we wanted to. But a lot of our stuff is set up differently to where, so there's there are 4 things that could have happened here. They could have opted in, they could have bought the tripwire, they could have bought core offer, they could have bought the profit maximizer. So we actually have 4 different thank you pages
Yeah.
because we really want to make sure our tracking's right.
Got it.
And what's cool too, guys, you can, not only can you, you know, sort of build these audiences, you can create lookalike audiences based off of these people. So people who hit your thank you page, your buyers, you can create a lookalike audience and tell Facebook, I want an audience of people that are most like these people. So it's really good for scaling. That's how we scale.
Molly, where do your, would you, suppose I had a list of a lot of buyers, I create a lookalike audience.
Right.
Now rolling out something new, where would you fit that lookalike audience into
Right.
your tier 1, tier 2?
Exactly.
How important is that?
That's a tier 1. That's very important. And so how we do that for scale, so pretty much I'm telling Facebook I want to optimize for conversions. Let's go back to the 212 blog post funnel, right? So I have a conversion pixel right here, and I'm telling Facebook I want to run a campaign to get people to this conversion pixel. I want to generate leads, right? So this conversion pixel is collecting data of people who have opted in. So I'm going to create a lookalike audience of these people who have opted in because there's a ton of data, right? If you were to create a lookalike audience right here, it would be good, but it doesn't have as much data because not as many people reach this point. So I'm going to use this conversion pixel, create a lookalike audience. It'll give me about 2 million people, but then I'm going to pair that with an interest targeting to scale because 2 million people is too high. We target about 500,000 to 1 million people, and all of our campaigns go into cold traffic. So I would take that pixel and target, and I would take the lookalike audience and pair it with a really broad interest targeting. So for this campaign, I have a lookalike audience right here paired with just blogging. I think it had 30 million people in the interest. So it brought us down to about 1 million, and we were good to go.
And then how important is that?
Really?
Compared to the other, like the tier 1, you said your people, like your
Right.
buyers and your...
Well, it's not
how
as
important is a lookalike audience compared to those guys?
well, it's not as important as your buyers, but it's important for scale because you have these people, right? You want to find more people most like these people. That's how you scaled paid media. So when you create the lookalike audience, it's creating 2 million people or more based off of 3 or 4 factors that Facebook has determined about these people. We don't know what the factors are. It's probably something to do with what they do when they leave Facebook, something, 3 or 4 factors on their profile. That doesn't mean that it's blogging, right? So that's why we use that big interest targeting to make sure we're still focusing the audience, we're not reaching too many people, but that they're as most like the people who have converted as possible.
Like probably 90% of our campaigns, we have lookalike overlays right now. We're going to touch on that. We're going to get into the ad manager right after the break.
Cool.
So we're going to create ads. We're going to get in there. We're going to do it succinctly, but we're going to have to wrap this one up. So
awesome, guys.
Everybody,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Sorry if that went a little long. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it. So hope to see you in lab and the members area and all that. We have a lot of fun. So.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is this next session, we're going to basically create it. We're going to get in there and we're going to create your ad. So we're going to focus a little bit on your lead magnet, but your ad and your optimization in this one specifically. We've done a lot of the foundation, so we're going to get in there and create it and go through some of your targeting, and we're going to also hit on the bidding and some of that stuff, some of the stuff you talked about here, the size of audiences and stuff. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to we already had a break right before this, so it's going to be a 5-minute break. 3:40, we're starting right on the dot. I promise, we're starting right at 3:40 this time. Okay?
Cool, guys. Thank you.